In this lesson, we're going to dive deeper into some advanced financial functions in Excel. The PMT, IPMT, and PPMT functions. These functions will help you calculate monthly payments, break down your payments into principal and interest, and give you a better understanding of how loans work. In our previous lesson on loan calculation, we calculated each amount manually. But in this lesson, we will do it by formulas provided by Excel. To start, let's revisit the basic PMT function and apply it to a real-world example of calculating the EMI, equated monthly installment, for a loan. Let's say a person takes out a loan of 1 lakh rupees. The interest rate is 10% and the loan term is 10 months. We need to calculate the monthly EMI for this loan. First, let's type the formula PMT in Excel. The first thing we need to input is the interest rate. Since the interest rate is 10% annually, we need to divide it by 12 to calculate the monthly interest rate. The next argument is the number of periods, or NPER, which represents the duration of the loan. Here, it's 10 months, so we will select the cell where the loan duration is written. The next input is the present value, PV, which is the loan amount. So we will select the cell D5 that contains the loan amount. But remember, we need to use a negative sign before the PV because Excel treats money coming into your pocket as positive and money going out as negative. By adding the negative sign, the result will be positive and the formula will work correctly. Once we press enter, we'll get the monthly EMI, which is 10,464.04. Now, let's calculate the total amount that will be paid as EMI over the entire loan period. To do this, simply multiply the EMI for 1 month by the total number of months, which is 10 in this case. Let's multiply D8 by 10, which is the time duration, and press enter. The result is 1,04,640.38 rupees, which is the total amount paid over the 10 months. Now, to calculate the interest paid, we subtract the principal amount from the total amount paid. So, the interest paid on this loan will be 4,640.38 rupees. Do you remember the type argument in the PMT formula? Let's go back to the formula we wrote and add 2 commas after the PV argument. You will now see the type argument, which lets you choose when the payments are made, either at the end or at the beginning of the period. Most of the time, EMI payments are made at the end of the month. So if you don't mention anything, the formula will calculate the amount based on the end of period default. But let's change it and type 1 to see what happens. When we do this, you will notice that the EMI amount and the interest paid change. The EMI now becomes 10,377.56 rupees instead of 10,464.4 rupees, and the interest paid is reduced to 3,775.58 rupees. This is because we are making the payment at the beginning of the month, so the loan balance is slightly reduced before the interest is calculated, and you don't have to pay a full month's interest. Now, let's move on to something even more useful. Calculating the interest and principal portions of the EMI for a specific month. Can we do that? Absolutely. This is where the IPMT and PPMT functions come in handy. While the EMI remains fixed every month, the amounts of interest and principal change over time. The interest portion of the payment decreases each month, while the principal portion increases. First, let's calculate the interest for the first month. For that, we'll use the IPMT function. The formula is quite similar to the PMT formula, But now we need to calculate the interest for each month. So we'll use IPMT. The rate is still 10% annually divided by 12 to get the monthly rate. The per argument is the month for which we're calculating the interest. So we'll select cell I2, where the month number is written. Before proceeding, remember to fix the rate so that it doesn't change when we copy the formula. We'll also fix the NPER value and use the present value as minus 1 lakh rupees. Negative because it's the amount borrowed. Press enter, and for the first month, you'll see that the interest amount is 833.33 rupees. If you drag this formula down to the other months, the interest amount will adjust for each month based on the remaining loan balance. If you sum up the total interest amounts for all months, you'll get the same result as before, 4,640.38 rupees. Next, let's calculate the principal portion of each payment using the PPMT function. The structure of the formula is very similar to IPMT. So you can even copy and paste the formula and just replace IPMT with PPMT. When you press enter, you'll see the principal portion for the first month. Over time, the principal portion of each payment increases, while the interest portion decreases. If you sum up all the principal amounts, you'll get the full loan amount, 1 lakh rupees. Finally, when you add up the interest and principal portions for each month, you'll get the EMI value that we calculated earlier. These functions, PMT, IPMT, and PMT, are incredibly useful when you're dealing with loans, especially if you want to break down the payments month by month. Understanding these formulas will give you a much better understanding of how loan repayments work and help you plan your finances more effectively. I hope you find these advanced functions helpful for your personal finance planning. Keep practicing with these formulas to get comfortable with them. That's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next one.